Hello everyone, welcome to RooTz. We get Root Vol Gaming. brenticuss here, and this will be my last video of 60 seconds, a Fallout survival game. Like I've said in a lot of my videos, when I find a game that I truly enjoy on all the levels as far as gameplay, involvement, my attention, genres that I'm interested in, I play them and play them and play them until I honestly can't even stand to hear anybody talk about it or even see the game title. And 60 seconds achieved that with me. I stumbled across this game without even knowing what it was, and that a lot of personalities on YouTube played it, and I didn't even know it. I just kind of like, ooh, that looks neat. And I thought it was kind of cheap, and I'm like, I'll pull a video out of it, you know. Even if it's a dumb game, I can rip on it for like 2 or 3 seconds. But actually playing it, I was like, wow, I really like this game. It's really neat. Obviously, it reminded me of Fallout for obvious reasons, because it's a Fallout game. But as far as story, cause and effect, action, all those things, it kept my attention and kept me wanting to keep playing it over and over again. I've played this game probably a couple hours every day since I've bought it. Probably just about every single day since I've bought it. If I missed a day, it was probably because I was gravely ill or had to take care of a loved one. But yeah, told you guys, when I find a game I like, I just can't put it down until it's finally beaten. I did beat the game 2 or 3 times before I looked up any walkthroughs or anything on it. I've pretty much learned the core principles and a few of the I don't say secrets, but tips or tricks on my own, just from playing the game so much and experiencing so much inside of the game. The main things I learned from the walkthroughs and watching other people play it is the certain events that trigger other events or lock out events. Like trying to get Pancake was one of the big ones. I didn't even know he existed until I watched somebody play it, and I was like, there's a dog. And come to find out, if you take the cat in before you start doing any of the dog stuff, you won't get past the initial event of where you go outside and you see some shining eyes glowing in the dark. And, you know, you can shoot at it. I think, what is it? Shoot at it, spray bug bomb on it, and flashlight. And I've done all 3 before, and the flashlight one, and I think I said it in one of my earlier videos, is I wanted to wait around and see if the dog finally came up and what the dog story was. But I didn't know that every time I was taking the cat in, that I was blocking the rest of his story, because once you take the cat in, it will not let you do any more Pancake events. And I didn't know that. That was one thing I learned. The other thing I learned about was Mutant Mary Jane. I actually had came across her once before, not even intentionally, just I think either I didn't have any of the gear to fight the spiders with, or I just got click happy, and I just skipped it accidentally. Just kept doing it because I've done that several times. Just get to clicking and be like, crap, what was that? What event was that? And miss out on a good event, or sometimes just go past an event without using any items. And that's kind of how I happened across Mary Jane, was that she happened just because I didn't fight the spiders, and I was like, oh, cool. But I didn't know about any of her traits, as far as that she didn't have to feed her anymore. No, wait, you didn't have to water her anymore. You just have to feed her every day, and she's immune to sickness. She's immune to tired. She's immune to raiders. I did lose her in another playthrough I've had her, because after I knew about her abilities, I used her like a cheap mule. I mean, as soon as she came back, I sent her right back out, and then I lost her after 20 days, and I was like, how did I lose her? Can you lose her? But the problem was I wasn't feeding her enough. She usually stays hungry for about 2 to 3 days after each trip, and if you don't feed her for those days, she'll do the whole run away because she was hungry thing. And I learned that later on, going back and watching my videos. I was like, how did I lose her? And then I read pretty much I didn't feed her. I was like, well, if you don't feed a dog, I'm not calling her a dog, but you know. Anyway, So in this playthrough, I do get Mutant Mary Jane, which I think is 93% the reason why I was able to go so far. The other percentage of it is just pure luck. This game, I don't know what engine it used, how the randomizer works or whatever, but it is random. I can think of a few playthroughs where I would get pancake within the first 40 days. And then I played 2 or 3, 4 games where I made it up to 60, 70 days and could never get pancake. I could never trigger his storyline. There's multiple endings in the game. One is the military saves you. 2 is the raiders come and get you. 3 is the VIP Men in Black people come and get you. 4 is the scientist with the cat get you. And 5 is the siblings get you. That's the 5 endings to the game, unless I'm missing one. I've experienced just through trial and error all those endings except the ones with the siblings. Not the siblings, sorry, all the ones except the scientist. The first time I beat the game was by accident. So you have to do certain story events to trigger the endings. Like the siblings will come and ask you for an axe to help cut down trees. They'll ask you for a map. They'll ask you for kid toys. They'll ask you for food. They ask you a couple times if you can. I think pretty much how their story starts out is you answer the phone, and then they ask you to have a meeting with them. But what I've found really is when I'd focus on trying to get an ending, like the military or the siblings or whatever, the more I focused on it and the more I focused on doing the right items and the right event actions to trigger their ending, I could never get it. And then it'd be the next game where I'm focusing on something else. Like I think there was one game where I was focusing on trying to get the scientist ending, and without really even helping the siblings at all, I think it was like day 60 or something, it just pops up and there's the blonde-headed and brother and sister twins pop up and says, the siblings are here to save you. And I'm like, wow, I did nothing for them and they're saving me this game. And it was kind of the same thing when the military saved me for the first time. That was the first time I beat the game. Was I've done all the things. I cut down the trees. I used the map for the coordinates. I used the gas mask to set up marker flares at the bus stop. Did all that stuff, and the military would never come for me. So it was a few games later where I was focusing on something else, and I think I may have done 1 or 2 things with the military, but not as much as I had been. And then right around, I think it was like 47 days, so there's loud banging on the door, and I was like, whatever, I'll let them in, because I think I was low on supplies, and I was like, you know, if I die at this point, whatever, I don't care. And then it was the military, and I was just like, whoa, and it surprised me. And the same thing happened with the Men in Black. I was doing their missions and not even paying attention to them, and they came in and rescued me. I do hate that I didn't get all the endings, because every time I went in trying to focus on trying to get the scientist ending, I'd wind up dying or something and just irritating myself. I still saw a few event actions in this playthrough that I haven't experienced before, just very small random ones. The biggest thing I was attuned to in this one was people's sanity. If you read several playthroughs or guides, they'll pretty much tell you that if people go nuts, that they have a certain amount of time. Like they'll go like crazy, and then like a week later they'll go like insane. And then usually what they do is they make everybody else's sanity go down, and they'll wind up destroying one item in the bunker, and then a couple days later they'll run away. I have brought people back from insanity a whole bunch. Usually if you send them out on a successful exploration trip, it'll kind of bring them back down to sanity. If one of their events, sanity events comes up, like Mary Jane wants to go get her tuba from the house, Ted and Dolores want to go to the nearby park to have a private moment, and then Timmy, I think he can run outside and see a telescope, and says the smudge on the lens looks like a man on the moon, which is total throwback to Rick and Morty, which wubba lubba dub dub, right? So anyway, I have brought them back before with that. I really wasn't worried about their sanity in this one too much. if you rob the nursing home or the school or somebody else's shed, that's supposed to bring down your sanity. And I think I did that twice in this game, and it didn't affect them at all. I just paid close attention to Mary Jane, made sure I fed her, and then just sent her out for exploration trips back to back to back to back. And it was just crazy. And then I got Pancake, and Pancake will, if you keep him around, he'll fight off the raiders one time for you, but only once. But he's kind of expensive to keep around, so like if you get him, he gives you an event action after you spot him with a flashlight. Then you have to give him a can of soup, and then he'll come back to you in a couple of days, and you can use a map, the gun, or the axe. And each one gives you items, but the best one is using the axe, because it gives you 4 bottles of water, which water is 2 times more important than food, as in real life. But the big thing is that he'll stay with you, and it's another prevention against the raiders. And he goes out about once every 3 days and says, hey, he wants to go outside, and he comes back, and he usually, I'd say about 8 out of 10 times, he brought me a bottle of water. There was one time he brought me a med kit, and then he brought me like a can of soup, but mostly he brings you water. The only problem is about every 5 days you have to give him a can of soup, a whole can of soup by himself. And you can miss feeding him once, but if you miss feeding him twice, then he'll run away. So he's very expensive. So you're pretty much banking that every 10 days he's going to cost you at least 1 can of soup, which is 4 times as much as any other member of the family is you're having to pay for them, because they usually want half a can of soup every 10 days. So I guess he's double if you look at it like that. So I had him after about 60 and 70 days in, but right about now we're at 63 days. The raiders start attacking you just unrelentlessly. You can fight them off with the padlock, the axe, the rifle, and the harmonica. You can also strike a deal with the mutants, and they'll fight them once, and Mutant Mary Jane will fight them once. Also, Pancake will fight them once. And I utilized all of them. Usually, and I didn't pay attention to this till I started trying to do the 100-day challenge. Usually, the harmonica only lasts once or twice. It says, like, you came out with harmonica and they didn't know what to do, and then usually the second time you use it says they all cried and dropped their weapons, and then you lose the harmonica due to use. In this playthrough, I think I used the harmonica about 4 or 5 times before it broke, which saved my skin. There was also another neat random incident. Now this is where I just did the axe, and we got the ton of water for Pancake. So I was down to my last weapon, and it was the axe, and I used it on them, and I was like, great, they're about to take me. Well, Mary Jane came back the very same day as I used the axe, so it said I was down an axe, and then on her exploration she brought me an axe, and it was crazy. This game is completely random and is 110% luck. Like, you have no idea how things are going to generate. The biggest thing I was banking on in the beginning is making sure that you have the radio and the gas mask, because usually within the first 5 days you'll get the announcement on the radio that the military dropped supplies, and you can use the mask to go get it, which is usually 2 water and 2 food. And there's like a 20-30% chance that the gas mask breaks. If you did watch some of my other videos, I got in the habit of, if you select the suitcase as one of your items you take out, well, then you can fill up all your other hands full of items. And I got to, until I got Mary Jane this go around, I was having Timmy go out every single time, because Timmy's the best scavenger. He has the most yield of items to bring back, and he has the more highly possibility of making it back and not getting sick, I guess due to all that Boy Scout training. So I would always give him the suitcase, the map, and the gas mask at day 5, because usually by that point, if the military is going to send the supply drop, they've already done it. There was a few times, I can think on day 6 or 7 while he was out, that they would call with the supply drop, and I hated that. But most times out of not, he would come back, and usually he brought 2 of the 3 items back. And with me already completing pretty much all the other endings besides the scientist one, I don't need the gas mask or the map for any of that. Really, the gas mask is outside of that supply drop, and there's a event where everybody gets really dirty and stinky, and the mask is one of the items you can do to combat that. Because if you don't, that's one of the worst events, I think, outside of the fire, earthquake, and flood and all that, is when it says everybody's starting to stink, and you can use the bug spray, the bullets, or the mask. But if you don't use one of those items, everybody in the bunker becomes sick. And as you know, in this game, sickness is death. When one person gets sick, as we saw with Timmy in the first part of this playthrough, it's pretty much game over. But you're talking about all your members getting sick, so if that happens, you might as well just restart your game, because there ain't no way you're coming back from that. Even if you have a first aid kit on standby, you're only going to heal one of your members, and then you've got to get that med kit 3 more times. There's an event where doctors come up to you and you can give them a bottle of water, and they'll come back and heal you as soon as somebody's sick. So that's pretty cool. But if you don't have that in the bank, then you're still healing 2 out of 4 of your members, and it's not even worth it. And when that's happened to me, I pretty much just start over. Another thing I did, and you'll see at the beginning of this video, I hunt for good scavenging. So it's all about setup. It depends on which side of the house the bunker's on. If the bunker's on the bottom part of the house, and I mean that as in screen correlation, because if you start off and you're in the bathroom, it's mostly probably going to be a pretty good run. But if you start off and you're near the bunker, near the living room, it's probably not going to be a good run. And it's all about item location. Usually you're going to want the cluster of food and water that's right beside the bunker or on the bookcase in the hallway, because if you have to go scavenging for it in the rooms, you're losing so much time running over furniture and doing his little speed up thing. So there's a lot of times, just depending on item placement, family member placement. Usually I won't Mary Jane near the shelter, because she takes up 3 slots and you can only take one thing with you. And if you're not filling up your slots on every single run through the house, then you're wasting time. And I've sat here before for 30 minutes straight, resetting my scavenging for supplies. I can't talk, just because it wasn't a good setup and I didn't like the way it was laid out. So here's day 100, and I'm telling you guys, everything is pure luck. On a day 100, I mean, I have a ridiculous amount of food and water. Timmy's gone, which, oh well. I wasn't going for full family survival. I was going for survival. I've got enough food right now that could probably take us to 150 days. Another big thing is the Boy Scout book. It can repair the radio, it can repair the map, it can repair the mask, and it can make a first aid kit out of the bug spray. Don't ever let Dolores and Timmy read it, because it'll destroy it. And also, it kills the roaches. And I was having a problem with that a couple days ago, that every single playthrough I went through, I'd get further on, about 40 or 50 days in, and the roaches would start coming up, and I wouldn't have any bug spray or any way to kill them. And if you get more than 2 roaches on the screen, they start making everybody sick. You'll watch all your family members start getting sick time and time and time again, to where you're just beating your head against the wall. And then once I found out that pretty much the book is a limitless bug killer, I always made sure to keep the book. And also, I mean, I didn't need the radio or the map or the mask or any of that stuff for the storylines, because I've already completed those. I was just looking for lasting as long as I could. I didn't pay attention to the book too much, but then once I found out that that's me going nuts, my mouse, because it was day 111. I always made sure I have the Boy Scout guide, because just it killing the roaches is a huge thing. So that's about it, and it's all about randomness. I've had everything that you could want, just about all the equipment, a ton of food and a ton of water, and all the events go my way. And all it takes is having one fire, and you can lose. I mean, in any fire, flood, or earthquake, if you've got all the items listed, you're going to lose 2 of the 3 items. And I think I had fires back to back, earthquake back to back, just horrible things. Or somebody would get sick, or just bad. So, I mean, this game is all about luck, and it's crazy, and I'm happy I made it this far so I can stop playing it. I can finally put it down. I know y'all guys are tired of seeing the videos for it. And this will be the last one, unless one of my friends wants to play it, and I'll monitor them, but I think Rainey and Jonathan are pretty tired of seeing it, so this will probably be the last episode of it. So anyway, I sped it up because I know this actual video was about 50 minutes long, so about 10 minutes shy of an hour. And I'm sure you guys didn't want to sit through an hour of me just playing this. So anyway, I'm gonna move on to some other games I have. Do some more SNES, NES, and Sega, and I got a couple more Steam games I want to get up. So thanks for watching, thanks for bearing with me, and we finally did it. 128 days, we made it. Alright guys, brenticuss with RehTro RooTz. Get rid of all gaming. See you next time.